if you're living in a townhouse, finishing your basement presents different obstacles than if you were living in a fully detached house. We're going to go over what those challenges are and how to overcome them in this episode of the Basement Coach Podcast. My name is Bill Gagne. I'm going to coach you up on finishing your basement. We're going to be going over topics every week about tips and tricks to finish your basement. So if you're interested in that, you might want to think about subscribing. So, one of the challenges with townhouses, and the main challenge is, how are you going to get stuff in? And primarily drywall. Drywall comes in 4x8 sheets or the smallest size. How are you going to get that down the stairs if you don't have a walkout basement, or you don't have easy access from the stairs to get a full sheet down, or you don't have a side door? That's your big challenge. Getting 2x4s in, you can always just put those in through the window. Most things you can get through the windows. Maybe if you have a big enough window, you can angle the sheet of drywall in and drop it down. But again, let's pretend that you're going to have a lot of challenges here. So if you can't get a full sheet of drywall down, you got to think about how big of a sheet can you get down. You don't have to worry about plywood because you can always use a different subfloor system if you're going to do that. The 2x2 system from Barricade or Drycore, whatever that is. Insulation, those you can just kick that down the stairs. Your flooring is going to come in pieces. Maybe if you're trying to get a tub down, that might be challenging. Furniture is a problem we're going to leave for later. We don't do furniture. We're contractors. This is renovations. I don't build furniture. So, how big a sheet of drywall can you get down? How tall is your ceiling? So, if you can get a sheet of drywall down that's close to 8 feet, amazing. Why I mention your ceiling height is typically you're going to want to lay your drywall across the studs, perpendicular to your wall framing. Well, you may have to use a commercial application. If you can get a sheet of drywall down that's 7'8" and your ceiling is 7'6", well, instead of changing how you're going to frame the walls, you frame them and you lay the sheets vertically. So instead of you having joints every 8 feet and they're staggered, you're going to have one joint every 4 feet. That's not ideal for wood studs. You may have to do some shimming and shaving to the studs because you don't want to have crowns on the wood. But you can also use steel stud, which is a commercial application. It's not as DIY friendly to use steel stud as it is wood. Wood's readily available. You're going to have a circular saw and some hand tools. Steel stud takes a lot more practice. But again, it's something that you can do. So, getting things in and out. 1, you're going to have to get your materials in. 2, you're going to have to get your garbage out. And you're going to have to truck all that in and out through the house. So think about how you're going to keep all that clean. Like I said, your studs can go in the window. Your subfloor, if you're using the 2x2 panels, you can carry that in. All that stuff. Drywall is your big challenge. Once you've got everything in, well, actually, number 2 challenge is size of the working space. Your typical townhouse is going to be anywhere from 1,200 to maybe 1,800 square feet. If you have a 600 square foot basement in your townhouse, amazing. But you're going to run into challenges because a lot of townhouse basements are going to be 350 to 450 square feet. And framing walls, having all your materials down there presents an obstacle. You're not going to be able to order all your material, have it show up, and then just get to work. You're going to have to do it in phases. You're going to get your subfloor in. You're going to install your subfloor. Then you're going to get your framing materials in, your studs, and then you're going to frame. Then if you're insulating, your insulation. You won't have enough space to have it all down there and do the work. Where are your tools going to be? Where's the garbage going to go? You're going to have to be a little more organized working in a tighter space. It just presents different obstacles. If you have this big, massive, wide open basement, you can frame your walls on the ground, you can stand them up, you can move them around. Great. When you have a really small basement, you don't have that option. You have to frame them in place. You're probably going to stack all your studs in the middle, take care of that, frame your walls, and then get rid of the garbage, So you got some obstacles there. Ceiling height in basements is a challenge. You're going to have subfloor if you're really going to DIY crazy. Subfloor, Your suspended ceiling, probably not going to go with that because you need that down 3 inches from the ceiling. So you're probably going to go drywall. You're going to have a lot of bulkheads. You're going to have your steel beam that's probably in there. The ductwork's going to be wrapped around that steel beam. You're probably going to have a post. Your stairwell is going to be complicated because your stairwell may turn. Your ceilings and your ceiling height and the bulkheads are going to be a ton of work. So be aware of that. Learn how to frame a bulkhead properly, because if you're doing the old school way of framing a ladder and putting it up and connecting it, that's going to be time consuming. You want to do it the way the pros do it. They do their bulkheads at drywall face. Maybe I'll make a video on how to do bulkheads, because I think it's going to help a lot of people. We just did a project where the client was doing their own bulkhead and we were doing their bathroom, and he was rerouting some stuff in the basement. And I said, hey, how you doing your bulkhead? Oh, I'm just going to build a ladder. And I was like, oh, no. Try it like this. 3 pieces of steel stud, 2 pieces of drywall. He said to me, I was expecting to be here all day, and I had it done in like 2 hours. So there's a way to do it, and I'll look into doing something like that later on. So bulkheads, if you're not a framing expert, they're going to be a lot of work. They're going to be short and big and turns and bumps. That's a challenge. Now that you've got all these bulkheads, your drying time for your drywall mud is going to be challenging as well. You may have to think about getting a dehumidifier in there and a fan. Don't worry about heat. If you use heat to dry out your drywall, it's going to crack and shrink. It's not the best way to do it. A dehumidifier is the right way to go, because you want to dry it evenly and from the inside as well. And you also want to just, with the fan, you have the air moving. A heater can help, but really the fan and the dehumidifier are your top items to have. Expect it to take longer for it to dry. You're going to have smaller rooms. You're going to have more corners. You're going to have more corner beads. If you think, hey, I'm going to go at this hard, I'm going to have all the tapes done in a week, think again. It's going to need a couple days to dry, especially at the loading phase. So once you have your tapes on, the second phase is the loading phase. That's going to take longer. So those are your main challenges, right? We're talking about getting materials in, having space to work in, bulkheads, drying time. Those are your 4 challenges. Are there any other challenges you think you're going to run into? Let me know. I think those are the most important. Like I said before, we're going to be doing things every single week, and you might want to subscribe so we can help you out with finishing your basement. I haven't got a real fancy sign off, so for now, we're just going to leave it at see you on the next one.